Okay, Jai Hind everyone. I am Achintya Pandey, working as an assistant professor in Department of Information Technology at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. Today I am going to show collaboration diagram, and this comes under object oriented system design, right? Okay. So we will in this video we will see the concept of collaboration diagrams. So before getting a software implemented, before getting a software tested, uh, there is a requirements to gather all the information related to the software or the product which we want to develop. Okay, so if if we gather all those informations, then we can put these information into pictorial representation, graphical notations. Okay, so UML is a tool. Okay, basically collaboration diagram comes under UML, which stands for Unified Modeling Language. Okay, and what is UML? Before us, if we want to implement a software, we want to write code and all those. But before writing code, what we require? If we bring some model related to that, okay, so this will be quite easy to analysis, to design, to interpret all those things. Okay, so by using the tool, there are so many tools. If we can model, then it will be uh, I mean more effective to design, to code, to study and all, right? So just see. So before getting a software implemented, before getting the software tested, we should gather all the requirement from the client, and all these requirement, if you can put them in some proper graphical and pictorial representation, then that will be quite easy for the people working within the project or even a stakeholder of the project to communicate between each other. Right? So UML is an industry is standard graphical language for specifying, okay, visualizing, constructing and even documenting the artifact of software system. Okay, this UML, that is Unified Modeling Language, uses some graphical notation to express the OO analysis, that is object oriented analysis and design of software projects. Right? It simplifies the complex process of software design. Okay, in my earlier video of object oriented system, we have discussed some concepts of object oriented system, object oriented programming, right? So let me review all those. So in object oriented programming, basically the concept which we use are object, class, abstraction and encapsulation, object, class, abstraction and encapsulation, then inheritance, polymorphism, object, class, abstraction and inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding, and message passing. Okay, so let me have a quick review. What is object? So object are what? Object are basically basic runtime entity which we communicate at runtime when a program is run. So this is called object, basic runtime entity. Okay, in object oriented analysis, first we have to think in terms of objects, then we will create object. Okay, if all similar object, if one type of many objects can be put into one similar category, then it becomes the class. So what is class? The class is a collection of similar type of object. For example, if we create class student, say just one second. Say if we create class student, okay, so this is a category just like a structure, okay, and if we create class, then this becomes the data type, and we can create as many variable of this data type student, like st1, st2, like st3, and so on. So this is what, this is objects, okay. So st1 is of type student, st2 is of type student. So class is what? Collection of similar data type. st1 is variable, just like we create int a, b and c. So a, b, c are the variable of type integer. So here class student is what? This is user defined data type, okay. So class is what? Collection of object of same type, okay, just like we use structure in C. Now what is abstraction and encapsulation? Encapsulation is what? Wrapping up data and function into a single unit, and that unit, that is class, is called encapsulations. Means whatever the data and the code over that data, we can encapsulate into a single unit, and that single unit is called class. And due to this feature, since we can wrap all those data and function into a single unit, due to this features, the this code, I mean this information is hidden from the outside. Means only the function which are inside that class can access the members and all, right. So this ensure the data hiding and all. No other class member are allowed, I mean functions are allowed to enter or into that class. So encapsulation is what? Encapsulation is wrapping up data and function into a single unit, that is class, is called encapsulation. Abstraction is basically an act of representing the essential feature without including the background detail. We can show that like list of abstract attributes, size, cost, and all. Other important property, inheritance. Inheritance is what? Inheritance is basically the idea of reusability, how we can reuse the existing one. Suppose a software is made, right, and by the time we have written the code, if we want to add something without disturbing other, I mean if you want to modify means something add, so we can add that portion by using the concept of inheritance, okay. The portion which is exclusive with, I mean suppose after year passing, things changes and we want add something, right. So we have to add only that exclusive, that can be done by the concept, using concept of inheritance. So idea of reusability can be achieved in object oriented analysis by using the concept of inheritance. Polymorphism is what? Polymorphism is basically one thing to show different form at different times, okay. So this feature can be implemented, the concept of polymorphism is implemented by using concept of function overloading and operator overloading. Dynamic binding is what? Binding means linking of a procedure call to the code executed. Dynamic means late binding, means this linking of procedures is postponed until the runtime, okay. So this become the dynamic binding, okay. Before that code is not, I mean linked, okay. Message passing means in object oriented analysis, one object, say op1, communicate with another object 2 by message passings, okay. So 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 this is just the overview of, I mean, the concept of object oriented system, right? So if we use this concept object oriented, if you use the concept of object oriented system to develop a software, I mean, there we can use uh, uh, there we can use the concept of object, class, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding, right, and all. Okay, so it will be better to analysis. Now, before implementing, it is always better if we model up the system, right? Because this is, we are going to write or implement a huge system, a software product. Okay, it's not just like an applications. So every steps need to be taken care. Okay, either feasibility study, requirement analysis, and all those. Okay, so there is a need of requirement of tools to even model that. So by using the concept of UML, Unified Modeling Language, we can do that. Okay, so here we are. Here we will go mainly collaboration diagram, but collaboration diagram comes under UML. So let me have a view of UML. Then we will elaborate collaboration diagram. So basically, UML defines all 9 diagram: use case diagram, class diagram, object diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, state chart diagram, activity diagram, component diagram, and deployment diagram. The whole activity of software system, from feasibility study, from requirement analysis, coding, and all that, by using this diagram we can represent. Okay, I mean, all the analysis, if you want to model, so by these diagram, by and there are some standard notations, graphical notations, by that we can represent. Okay, so out of these diagram we can represent, right? Even there can be more diagram depending on the software, depending on which tools we are using, we can. Okay, but mostly all the things which are required to model a system, model a software system, they can comes under all diagram, all these 9 diagram. Okay, so sequence and collaboration diagram, mainly they are same. There is just a little difference. Okay, so sometimes we say collaboration diagram is also a sequence diagram. And this 9 diagram, I mean, use case, class, object, sequence, collaboration, state chart, activity, component, and deployment diagram, they are categorized into 3 categories. Okay, one is structure. As the name says, structure means structure diagram basically include the class diagram, object diagram, component diagram, and deployment diagram. This comes under the structure diagram. Structure means design, what are data, how we can represent, and all this. Okay, behavior diagram include the use case diagram, activity diagram, and state machine diagram. And third category is interaction diagram. This interaction diagram include sequence and collaboration diagram. So UML, that is Unified Modeling Language, has almost 9 diagrams, and these 9 diagram comes into 3 different category. You should know, the one is structure, behavior, and interaction diagram. Okay, so basically we are today we will discuss the collaboration diagram, or we can say interaction diagram. So what is collaboration diagram? Collaboration diagram illustrate interaction between objects. Suppose 2 objects are there, so how they are going to interact. Okay, like we have created a class student, and if we have 2 objects, say st1, st2, how the object interact. So to model that, we use collaboration diagram. Means there will be certain notations. Okay, how we can represent all the activity of that. Okay, so interaction between objects is known as collaboration diagram, or by using collaboration diagram we represent interaction of objects. This illustrates even messages being sent between classes and objects. What are the messages? See, object communicates through message passing, as we have already seen. Objects communicate through message passing. Message is basically what? Like in C, if sorry, suppose if we write a function, so this is what this function is basically object communicates means if there are two objects or many objects, they communicate over the function, and function के अंदर जो हम argument pass करते हैं, they are basically the message. Suppose one object is, say, there are so many objects, and suppose we want to calculate salary, ठीक? And if we pass, say, MP, or okay, so this will calculate the salary of employee. Anyway, leave this. Just see. Okay, so collaboration diagram illustrate message between message being sent between classes and objects. Okay, collaboration diagram express both the context of a group of objects and the interaction between these objects, representing message broadcast, right? What is the purpose of collaboration diagram? So collaboration diagram are very useful for visualizing the relationship between objects collaborating to perform a particular task. They provide a good view, that is static view of interaction between objects, which may be difficult to see at the class level. Okay. Okay. Collaboration diagram represent a collaboration and interaction, that is a collaboration set of objects and their interaction in a specific context. Okay. Interaction set of messages exchanged in a collaboration to produce a desired result. Okay. Okay. For example, let's see the diagram. This is what? This is the class. How we represent a class diagram? First, as we know, the collaboration diagram is used to represent the communication between objects, that is the message even being sent between the two objects. In object oriented analysis, by using UML, first class is represented by simply rectangle. Okay, if there are as many class, we can represent the class in a graphical notation just by rectangle. Object are the instances of the class, so it is represented by simply colon and by two way. One is by specifying the class name colon object name. Okay, or even we can specify object name and this underline. Underline means we are going to represent the object. Okay, so either object or class are both represented just by symbol or graphical notation rectangle. So there are four rectangles: elevator, cabin, light and door. So this is what? This is the class diagram, or we can say more specifically, this is the object diagram. If it is underlined, right, and we are going to it is in the rectangle, this means this is the object or class. Underlines means object, and if not underlined means only class. Okay. And this is the message, means the argument which pass into the functions or parameter, just like the parameter, like in C, if we pass some parameter, like in C, the message which we pass, this parameter means argument, this is what we can say, this is the message. So see, cabin, elevator. Okay, elevator go up, ठीक, then close door, then illuminate light. Okay, so between the communication between even how many objects are we can model, right? What are the messages and all, if we represent like this in a lift system, then it can be represented like this. Okay, it is not that only a single diagram you can represent. Okay, there may be different even messages and all this. This is not absolute. Okay, so we can represent in some another way even, right? Okay, so this is the notation used for collaboration diagram. Okay, so what are the what those elements to represent the collaboration diagram? So there are three primary elements of a collaboration diagram. One is objects, second is link, and third is message. Okay, object, as we know, object can be represented by using rectangle. Links are basically connection between two objects. This is called links. So there are dot line, there are bold line and all. So by using the line we can represent the link. And message means we can just compare with the parameter or argument which we pass into the function, that is called message. Okay, so three primary elements of a collaboration diagram: object, links and message. Okay, they are required if you want to make collaboration diagrams. Okay, now collaboration diagram, in collaboration diagram this becomes an actor, this is represented using this symbol. An object, see what this is the standard way to represent an object in UML. What is this? Object name underscore object name colon a class. Even you can represent just by object name. Okay, an association. An association means link between two objects. Okay, so this is represented by the line. Message means parameter which we pass into functions. So these all are the elements which is used while drawing collaboration diagram. So just let me review the element of the collaboration diagram. Object is what? Object basically rectangle. Object is basically rectangle containing the signature of object. This is called signature of object, means name of object colon class. Okay, so this represent object of this type class. Okay, that's why this is called signature. Okay, every object will belong to some categories. Okay, of similar, I mean kind of object. Okay, so that is the class. Object name even optional. Okay, it is not mandatory that you can write the object name. Even object diagram may include only the class. So object name is start with lowercase letter. This is also the substandard to represent that. Class name is mandatory. While you are to draw object, class name is always mandatory. Start with uppercase letter. Like student. Okay, so particular student is object, ST1, ST2 and all that. Okay, so class name means student is mandatory. It is not required the particular student. Okay, even you can write the object name. Okay, so objects connected by line actor can appear, right? Object connected by lines actor can appear. Okay, object participating in a collaboration diagram comes in two flavor. Okay, one is supplier and another one is client. Okay, so supplier objects are the objects that supply the method. Method means the function. Okay, by which it is communicated, over which it is communicated. So supplier objects are the objects that supply the method that is being called and therefore receive the message. Okay, client objects call method on supplier objects and therefore send message. We can compare it, it's just like client server architectures. Okay, The client requests some message, server invokes the request, like in client and server architecture. Client request to server, okay, and server responds to the client, just like that. Okay, objects communicates, okay, by using some functions, and function may contain some parameter. So that parameter is message. So communication between object are only possible through the message. Okay, so client objects call method on supplier object and therefore send messages. For example, just see here. Librarian, this is an actor. This numbering, if there is a numbering, I mean, see, collaboration diagram and sequence diagram, both are same. In collaboration diagram, we specifically write the numbering. Numbering means the flow from where it start, then next, and last. Okay, so if there is a numbering, okay, so this specifically is under collaboration diagram. If numbering is not written, then this becomes the sequence diagram. So see, this transaction object acts as a supply to the UI. UI means user interface client object. In turn, the fine object is supplier to the transaction client object. So this is just what? This is the graphical notations. Okay, these all are the objects. Okay, and this is the, I mean, functions, you can say enter borrower. There will be code and right, calculate amount can borrow. Okay, and this is the message, for example, BID, which we have passed. Okay, so in collaboration diagram, what may comes? Objects. These all are the objects, or you can say class more specifically. Okay, and how the class or how the objects communicates, it is by using this. Okay, so see, librarian enter borrower ID. Okay, borrower ID, UI, user interface. Okay, so first one this, then even borrower ID when user will enter or librarian will enter, then this 1.1 means next, calculate amount can borrow. In that, this is the functions, right? Correspondingly, the code will be written. So inside that function, we have passed the BID. After that, 1.1.1 create, how you can, so calculate borrower fine by using the BID. So create 1.1. Then 3, what is the get borrower checked out media. Okay, is media overdue? Then 1.1.4, right? And this is called recursion. Okay, so 1.1 amount can borrow, right? So the sequence of communication of various objects are shown even in the collaboration diagram. Okay, links, the connecting lines drawn between objects are links. Links and association both are almost same. Okay, association means communication with different objects. Okay, they enable you to see the relationship between objects. This symbolizes the ability of object to send message to each other. A single link can support one or more messages sent between objects. Okay, so again like this. So this is the link. Okay, and link are represented by this line. This is what? Objects, one object, another object, and right. Okay, so this comes under the collaboration diagram. Okay, so the visual representation of link is a straight line between two objects. If an object sends message to itself, the link carrying the message is represented as a loop. Okay, if an object send message to itself, okay, like this, this object send message to itself by using this function. So this become the loop here. Okay, so this is the loop. Okay, this loop can be seen on both UI object and the transaction object, here and here. Okay, so if it is the case, how you can represent? Like this we can represent. So basically, we prior to implementations, we draw different graphical representation so that the actual implementations could be seen properly. Now, what is message? An interaction is simply an interaction is implemented by a group of objects that collaborate by exchanging messages. Messages in collaboration diagram are shown as arrow pointing from the client object to the supplier object. Typically, messages represent a client invoking an operation or on a supplier object. Operations basically is what? Functions. Like in C, we implement functions. So, functions are the operations which operate on the data, and message is basically the parameter, or we can say argument which we pass to that operations or functions. So, we can compare this operation just like as a function in a C. Message icon have one or more messages associated with them. Messages are composed of message text prefixed by a sequence number. As we have seen that in collaboration diagram, there is a flow. Flow means from where it start, how it proceed, and all those. So, if we can number, so this activity consists of objects, and the sequence of communications comes under the collaboration diagram. Time is not represented, okay. Time is not explicitly in a collaboration diagram, and as a result, the various messages are numbered to indicate the sending order. Specifically, time stamp is not required in the collaboration diagrams. Okay. So, this is what this numbering, if it is explicitly written, so this will be what in the collaboration diagram. Okay, means what is first, then second, and last. So, flow by numbers means all the activity from where it start, how it proceed, and up to the last. We can like that. Okay, 1.1 means inside one there are say one, and even that there are more branching and all. Okay. Message flow notations. So, there are even the links which connect with two objects, may be synchronous, may be flow of control, may be asynchronous, and may be return. So, these are the standard notations by which message flow can be represented as bold, okay, synchronous and flow of control, that is represented by the bold arrow, and asynchronous half and dotted is by return. Okay. Even if there is a conditional message, we can represent in the collaboration diagram. So, to indicate that a message is not conditionally, prefix the message sequence. Message sequence means the numbering with a conditional like this. This indicates that the message is sent only if the condition is met. If it is shown, means just like conditional message. Collaboration versus sequence diagram, both are same, just there is a difference. If we write the sequencing over numbering, so this is specifically the collaboration diagram. So, in reality, sequence diagram and collaboration diagram show the same information, but just present it differently. Not used as often sequence diagram, but are closely related. The difference is only the numbering. If the numbering is not shown, then this become the sequence diagram. If numbering is explicitly shown, then this become the collaborations, right? If it is not the order mentioned here, like 1.1, 1.1.2 or 1.1 like this, if it is not, then this become the sequence. Okay. So, collaboration diagram is better at showing the relationship between objects. Why it is better? Because we can see the flow. Flow means from where it start and how it proceeds. So, it will be always better as compared to sequence diagram. Okay. So, number of messages. So, in sequence diagram, each message icon represent a single message. Okay. In collaboration diagram, a message icon represent one or more message. Even in collaboration diagram, there can be more than one message. Okay, and that you can represent by sequencing there. Okay, so this is the association. Okay, like one to one, one to many, and all. Okay, links and collaboration directly correlate to association between classes in a class diagram. Okay, these all are the steps of collaboration diagram. First, we have to identify the objects and all. Mean the in designing collaboration diagram, we have to think how many objects, what type of objects, that is more important. Then we can draw. And okay, then creation and deletions. Unlike sequence diagram, you don't show an object's lifeline in a collaboration diagram. In sequence diagram, we represent the lifeline, but in collaboration it is not required. Okay, so again, this is the collaboration diagram. This is the vectors, this is the object, right? So if we just sum up the collaboration, so collaboration is just the interaction between the objects. So to draw the collaboration diagram, we require to identify the objects, how the objects communicates, and what are the message passed, how these these objects, messages, operations can be represented in graphical notations. This comes under the collaboration diagram. So this is all about the collaboration diagram. Thank you very much.